Join the party, have a hearty.
Hey everybody, it's Adam. Today I'm going to show you my recipe for a New Orleans Bourbon Bread Pudding. It's a little bit crunchy, a little bit creamy, and full of flavor. It's awesome to serve at Thanksgiving or at Christmas. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is deal with my bread. This is about a 19 to 20 inch French baguette. I'm going to take it out of its package and tear it apart into 1-inch cubes and put it into a small baking pan. Now that I've torn my bread into little rustic pieces, I'm going to bake it in my oven at 450 degrees for about 10 minutes. What I'm doing is trying to get all of the water and moisture out of the bread so I can replace it with good moisture like eggs and custard and vanilla. So it'll be really delicious. Just for 10 minutes. Okay, while my bread is toasting, I'm going to take the time to plump up my raisins with a little bit of bourbon. This is bourbon right here. You can use any kind you want. Some people like it darker, some a little bit lighter. I'm going to use half a cup of this and a whole cup of golden raisins. Adding the booze and heat to the raisins will plump them up a little bit and really fill them with a lot of flavor. Half a cup of bourbon. And 1 cup of raisins. I'm going to put my raisins and bourbon on medium-low just until they come to a simmer, and at that point the bourbon will have worked its way into all the raisins, making them really flavorful. Just about 5 minutes. I took my bread out of the oven after about 10 minutes. It's just starting to turn brown and a little crunchy, which is exactly what I want. Now I'm going to take my raisins and bourbon and strain them into my mixing bowl to make my custard. I'm going to use the rum in the custard. I'm going to strain the bourbon from my raisins. I'm going to use the bourbon in my custard and reserve the raisins for just a little bit later in the process. Now that I've got my cooked bourbon in my mixing bowl, I'm going to start making my custard. I'm going to begin by adding 3 cups of heavy cream. I know it seems like a lot, but this is a custard after all. And now I'm going to add 1/4 cup more of bourbon. Cooked bourbon versus uncooked bourbon will really add to the flavor balance. And now 1 cup of whole milk. This is not the recipe if you're lactose intolerant. And now to sweeten things up a little bit, 1.5 cups of packed light brown sugar. And now I'm going to add 8 large egg yolks. I'm going to separate the white from the yolk. It's a lot of egg whites to toss away, so I would suggest if you're making this bread pudding, plan on making some meringue cookies or a chiffon cake the same day, just so they're not going to waste. Now I'm going to add a tablespoon of really good vanilla. Next, a teaspoon of cinnamon. A 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. and a quarter of a teaspoon of kosher salt, just to bring out all the flavors. And now I'm just gonna whisk it all together. My custard mixture smells and looks beautiful. Now I'm gonna dump in my toasted bread, toss it around a little bit, and let it sit for 20 minutes, just until the bread has absorbed all the custard and the eggs and the vanilla. It'll be really delicious. It's been about 20 minutes and my bread and custard mixture is ready to go. I buttered a 9x13 pan. I'm going to dump in half of the mixture, sprinkle it with my bourbon plumped raisins, dump in the other half of the mixture, and sprinkle it with raisins again. Oh man, it smells like Christmas. Sprinkle this layer with raisins. Add the other half of my bread mixture. And add the rest of my raisins. Now, if you wanted to put the bread pudding in the oven now, you totally could. But I'm gonna make a sweet and buttery, crunchy topping, just because I think it's nice to have a little bit of crunch before you get into all that custard stuff. So I'm gonna set this aside. I've got 1 stick of cold unsalted butter that I'm going to cut up in tiny little 1/4 inch pieces and toss it with 4 tablespoons of sugar and a pinch of cinnamon. These right into the bowl. I'm going to toss my little butter chunks with 4 tablespoons of sugar. And just a pinch of cinnamon. And just toss it around a little bit. And now I'm going to distribute my topping all over the bread pudding, then stick it in the oven at 300 degrees for 45 minutes. I took my bread pudding out of the oven after about 45 minutes. It smells amazing. You want to let it cool for about 20-30 minutes, and then you can serve it with some whipped cream or vanilla ice cream. I hope you get to enjoy this recipe, everybody. It's available on my website, adamcrowcatering.com. And look for more episodes of my cooking show, Cook with Adam, on YouTube. See you next time.
Come on, join the party. Have a hearty glass of rum.